Okay, well, hello everybody. It's Iain at Stonehouse Communications, and thanks for the 10 minutes. Hopefully you can see this screen okay and hear me. I'm going to talk about content marketing today, which I may have mentioned once or twice before, and why every business should be investing in it. But first of all, warning, before you dive into any sort of marketing, just make sure you understand the language that you want to use, what you want to say, so that you're consistent in what you're talking about, and describing your business and its services. Otherwise, you can quite easily put content out there that's confusing, people don't really understand, and it's not really going to help you too much. So, simple definition of content marketing. It's a type of marketing that involves the creation and sharing of online material like videos, blogs, and so on. It doesn't explicitly promote a brand, so it's not a sales pitch. It won't necessarily talk about your brand, your business name, and what have you. But what it is intended to do is stimulate interest, build your reputation, and position you as an expert in your field. And of course, social media is an integral part of that, but it isn't the only part of that. So let's take a look at what it is and why you should be marketing your business this way. First on the list, types of content. There's all sorts of different types of content, so this is by no means a definitive list. But these are some of the things that you could look at delivering through your content marketing. First of all, blogs and vlogs, straightforward. You write some blogs and articles and what have you, and vlogs is simply the video version of that. There's a theme of video throughout this, and video is really important in terms of how people engage with content, and also how Google will engage with your website and where that puts you in the rankings. So vlogs are just as important as blogs, and they needn't be long, 30 seconds to a minute. Pick a frequency that works for you and just make sure you can stick with it. It'll do you no good if you do one a week, then stop, do another one 2 months later. You're wasting your time. It's better if you've only got the time to do one a month or one every 2 months. If you've got the time to do one a week, then great, but commit to something that you can actually deliver. Second, there is info videos. So it's simple videos that are made from graphics, images, and so on. So you wouldn't necessarily have somebody speaking in that or any kind of animation. It's putting together relevant images and messages with those images. Animations. So I think you've probably all seen the sort of drawn doodles that are out there. There's also other kinds of animation, so graphics, cartoons, and so on that you can use as well. And of course, social media. Social media is very much not the be all and end all. It's a really powerful channel to share the content that you're producing. But as a standalone, it isn't something that will give you what you want and help you meet your business objectives. I've put e-news in there as well, so e-newsletters, and they're again a powerful tool to reach out to audiences and people on your mailing list, which of course you can grow as people find your content and are interested in what you've got to say. Ebooks and articles there. So again, it's a means of sharing your knowledge and expertise. Ebooks are particularly strong. They take a little bit of work to get right, but when you have developed a series of blogs, there's absolutely no harm in retasking some of the content from those blogs and including it, in the right format in an ebook to share with people. And ebooks can do anything and be anything really, but generally it's about sharing information to help people to reach a decision on something. So at the moment, I think most people have probably seen the news about the 97-year-old grandma who's been taken from a care home and been taken back by the police, and the daughter was arrested and all of that. So lasting powers of attorney are a big issue there. It would be a really good subject for an ebook to put together some information around that to share with with the right audiences. And again, articles on LinkedIn and what have you, sharing your knowledge. Video, more kind of conventional sort of video, so interviews, videos of your business in action and that sort of thing. And that can be anything that shares information, expertise. It's a good opportunity to talk a little bit about your services and show actually what you do. Podcasts there is something that's really taken hold over the last few years. Fairly straightforward to produce. There are lots of platforms out there to help you record and edit them. And of course, there's things like Google has its own platform, Apple, and so on to broadcast through, and Spotify. Don't think I need to explain too much about websites, but obviously a hugely important tool for you to use to bring people to, capture their data, and that's the almost the bottom of your sales funnel when you want them to arrive there and then take an action. So it's really important actually that the customer journey is really simple and it's really clear how people can engage with your business when they want to. Public relations there, I've put that into content marketing, and there's a bit of an argument depending on who you ask about this. A lot of people will say public relations is a standalone medium. I disagree. I think it's part and parcel of your content. Gives you access to another channel, so that obviously the media, broadcast and print, and now online. And public relations is very much about building reputation. So you would never ever do a sales pitch. It's about having opinion, sharing opinion, commenting on current affairs when it's appropriate for your business, and as I said, building your and protecting your reputation. And finally on this list is webinars. Great way to capture people and data, and a brilliant way to share your knowledge, because you actually are talking to an audience about what it is that you know, to help them make decisions. So a really good way of engaging with your key targets. Oops. Let's get rid of that before it all goes wrong. So number 2, the platforms. There are loads of platforms out there that will help you deliver your content. There's things like Hootsuite, there's Social Pilot, there's TweetDeck, and all kinds of platforms. A lot of them are quite two-dimensional, so you can post out social media and not much else. There are other platforms that are suitable for blogging, like Blogger, WordPress.org, and so on. We use a specialized content marketing platform that allows us to create content across quite a number of those areas that I've shown you in the previous slide, and it allows you to automate, curate content, and so on, track, manage, schedule, and all the rest of it. I'm not going to go into that in too much detail because it's quite a complex platform, but you can see here just a snapshot of the calendar for my business, and what we've got scheduled to go out over the next few days. So happy to have a chat offline about platforms, but it's easy to find the wrong one for your business. It's not quite so easy to find the right one, but happy to have a chat offline about that if anybody needs a bit of advice. And then the third point is manual versus automation. So obviously manual is what it says. You write your post, you write your content, you write your blog, and so on. You go on to whichever platform you've chosen and you post it, or you write it into Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever platform that you're writing for. Produce your video and post it manually. That's pretty time consuming. But in terms of producing content, writing your own content is still and creating your own content is still very much the best way, because obviously it's you talking. However, sharing content that's been written by other people gives you the opportunity to comment on it, to have an opinion, to be part of the conversation online, on whatever subject it might be. So you can see just a few things here. The second one there is talking about Pipedrive, which is a CRM, which obviously we're interested in looking at the functionality and what have you of those from a marketing perspective. Everybody likes to hear about Apple, and they're always doing things. So we're able to to curate that content. We can search for that content, pre-schedule it, and comment on it, as time passes, just to join in the conversation there. And it adds richer content to your feeds as well. So there's always different things, and it creates the reality really that you are an expert in your field and quite able and confident enough to have an opinion on what other people are posting and reporting on. So, but again, the different platforms will have different levels of automation, curation tools, and so on. So it's important to have a good look at what it is you want to achieve and the best platforms for you to use. So what does content marketing actually do? I've touched on this already throughout. Helps you to showcase your skills and expertise and share content from multiple sources. That's straightforward, but why? So you become the expert in your field, and you build credibility and build your reputation. Reach new people and build reputation. So using the right hashtags, the right channels, and so on, you will reach new people, you will develop new relationships and engagement, and ultimately that brings people through their journey to you as a lead, and at that point it becomes a sales job to convert those leads into customers. And finally, and this is really important, it's an opportunity for you to let people buy, not a sales pitch. So I for one, I wouldn't buy stuff from people that are pitching loads of stuff out there. You can put offers on every now and again and that sort of thing. That's okay. But people are interested in people and knowledge and want to understand that you're the right person for them to go to for the product or service that they're looking for. Mark's a great example. Mark, you talk a lot about examples, how it works, helping people to relax, what the benefits are of having your headshots and so on. You don't give a sales pitch at all, but actually the way you talk makes your service very buyable. So that lets people buy from you. And finally, joining the dots. So what else can you do once you've got all this content going out there to help it work for you? So SEO, again, depends on the platform. You can optimize content with the right platform so that you can add in the correct keywords and so on, so that people can find it when they're searching for things. Paid for advertising, you can support your content. You might boost a post on Facebook, for example, or if you're running a particular campaign, you might support that with some Google ads to add an extra layer of search to it, so that more people find you and you can drive them to a landing page on your website or wherever it is you want them to go, or whatever it is you want them to do. You can capture data, and there's a massive development over the last few years in data-driven marketing, and it's possible to capture the data of people coming through websites, coming through your social media, using retargeting pixels, and advanced technology in some of the better CRM systems and so on. And then finally, remarketing, where you're able to capture the behavior of people. So they might go and look at X on your website. You can capture the details and then using a remarketing technique, post some of your ads onto the websites that they're then going and looking at. So there are lots of other things you can do to support your content marketing activity as well. So that's a very fast crash course in content marketing. I'd be really happy to speak to anybody who wants to find out a little bit more. Otherwise, I think there might be 3 or 4 seconds left for some questions if anybody's got any. So thank you for listening.
Well, I'm going to start off by asking you, Iain, what is it that we should not do? You've said what's good ideas to do there, but what is a definite no-no?
Stay away from politics. Stay away from conspiracy theories. No, if you get involved in political discussion, you will upset at least half of your clients, and it will lose you business. I absolutely guarantee it. Conspiracy theories, seriously, some of these lunatics online, just avoid. My golden rule is think about the conversation that you start to have when you arrive at the pub, and then think about the conversation that you have 6 pints later. Have the conversation that you have when you arrive at the pub. 6 pints later, put your phone down, your iPad down, don't go near your computer. Leave. Those conversations are the conversations that will do you harm. So, you know, what you need to do is put yourself in the shoes of the people that are reading about you and reading your content, and think how they would feel if you're putting things on there that are inflammatory, political, just nuts, frankly, and whether they'd actually then want to come and do business with you. Gerald Ratner's a case in point. He told everybody his product was crap, and look what happened to him. So those are the main things I'd avoid, really. But I think it's really important to be consistent in terms of what your messaging is, the language you use, and also how frequently you're posting. You know, if you can commit to once a month, then do it. But if you can't do things every week, and it's, you know, once a week, and then it's once a month, and then it's once a week, and then twice a fortnight, people want to see consistent, regular content. So think about Donald Trump. Would you buy anything from him?
Not a chance.
No.
If you're American, you might do. Half of them, anyway.
Yeah.
Depends, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Well, first of all, Iain, thank you for the feedback during your 10 minutes there on what you think of what I do. So that's really good coming from somebody who does what you do. And there's 2 good bits of feedback today, because I was in a one-to-one breakout room with Dan, and he gave me some nice feedback as well. So that. But yeah, just wanted to ask you about blogging. You mentioned on there about blogging. I should do more video. I know that, but I just haven't got my head around doing it yet. Now, I have a blog on my website, which I don't post to particularly often. When I think about it, I do it. I tend to post, I post daily. I've missed a couple of days over the last few weeks, but I post daily to LinkedIn, and I then post onto my Instagram and onto my Facebook business page as well. It tends to be the same post, because in my mind, I think it's consistent across all my platforms. Then people are going to see that post, whether they follow me on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. So I post the same thing to all 3 on the same day. Do you think that's a good idea, or should I be doing it differently?
It really depends on what audience you've got on which platform. So, I guess for you, because it's business headshots, it's okay to be posting the same thing. But if your business, if there are aspects, so we've got 2 mortgage advisors here. LinkedIn, for example, you would post kind of buy to let, self-employed type content. Facebook, you would go more for the first time buyer remortgage audience. So it really depends on which audience is on what platform. So if you've got a very different audience on Facebook, for example, if you photograph weddings, for example, you would absolutely put that content onto Facebook and Instagram as well. You may not quite so much, although you would a little bit on LinkedIn, because people on LinkedIn still get married, I'm sure. But you would change the focus of the messaging. So it really depends on the audience on any given platform, and there's really good metrics on LinkedIn and Facebook, so you'll be able to see audiences, demographic, and so on. So if you had a look at that, what you might be able to see is that there's an age range on LinkedIn, which is likely to be the slightly older end because it's more professional people. Facebook, you might find that it's a more even spread, so you capture more of the younger audience. So you could tailor the content, and that might be more of the selfie Instagram type audience. So you could tailor the content slightly differently, and the language slightly differently for the LinkedIn professional audience, and the Facebook audience might be slightly more relaxed language. So the answer to that is yes and no.
Okay.
In true marketing speak. So it really depends on the audience on any given platform and what service what your services are that you're promoting.
I'm thinking about changing the Instagram page, because quite a few of the people that follow me on Instagram are other photographers, and they're obviously never going to be my client as far as having a headshot's concerned. But I do also, well, haven't done any this year, obviously, but I do also conduct training and workshops for photographers of all levels on various aspects of photography, whether they're just starting out and don't know anything at all, or whether they're a little bit more established and they just want to learn about how to light portraits and things like that. So I've been thinking about changing the Instagram page so that it tailors more to the photography side rather than looking for headshot clients through it.
Yeah, and if that audience is there, that's spot on, I think. And you could do that because obviously you can't put live links in Instagram posts. So for that, video would be perfect.
Yeah, cool. Okay, thanks, Ian.
Ian, what if you've got a situation where what you're trying to market, so to speak, is a little bit controversial? Or should I say, let's say it was my hosted system. For me to market my hosted system, I basically have to trash a local system, if you see what I mean. Do you just sell the virtues of the hosted system and expect the potential client to understand the difference? How do you kind of bridge that gap where you think, if only they understood that bit, it much better in that way?
So that's where Google Ads can really come into play. So in that instance, what I would do is I would talk up the benefits on social media. I guess LinkedIn is going to be really powerful for you over any of the other social platforms. So I would set up, and I don't know your business well enough to give kind of numbers, but I would set up a landing page or a number of landing pages depending on the aspects of the service that you want to talk about that are better than your competition, and talk about the specific benefits of your platform. And I would use LinkedIn and Google Ads. Google Ads, because of the way it works, you can use. So if your competitor is ABC hosted system, for example, you can use their brand name as a keyword to redirect traffic from them. So, and we've done this with a tech company last year. They did it to our clients, so we did it back. We just did it better. So if you've got a number of competitors, you can take their company name, their brand name, use those as keywords and set up Google Ads that will, when they're searching for those competitors, they will bring that your ads will pop up and bring you to your landing pages, or bring them to your landing pages where you can talk about the benefits of your service. So you're not saying, well, so and so is really bad, by us. What you are doing is giving people the opportunity that are looking at your competitors to come to you because you're sticking an ad right in their face. And that's a really simplistic answer. There's a bit more to it than that, but that's the kind of nuts and bolts of it. In terms of social, yeah.
Sorry, I thought. I didn't realise you weren't finished on that one.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of social, again, talk about the benefits, and again with LinkedIn ads, which are quite expensive, you can add codes to your website that capture. It's almost a circular thing. So people go to your website that have got a LinkedIn profile. Once you get to a certain number, it's 300, I think. You can then remarket through LinkedIn. So there's a lot that you can do, kind of under the bonnet, as it were, to get the right traffic coming to you without even having to publicly reference the competitor whose service is no good.
All right, thanks. One last sort of on my other sort of interest, which keeps saying is going live, but we got two aspects to that. If there is something again controversial, and let me be frank, something like red meat causes cancer, for example, would you put that on your website, or would you prefer to try and keep the website quite minimal and only put in whether red meat causes cancer further into the product once you've got the person signed up, what the pros and cons are, or what the truth is, or so-called truth? How would you go about that?
I think with things like that, you've got that particular one, you've got a massive vegan lobby that's well financed. I think you kind of stick to the facts, and you present people with choice. So I would avoid having an opinion on that, because you're just going to visit a nightmare on yourself, I think. That's a PR thing rather than a sort of pure marketing thing. So that's a matter of defending your reputation, where you're presenting your, people are coming into your platform and they're being given choice and fact, and I would avoid any engagement with it, with the lobbies and what have you, and just stick to the knitting, really. The facts are this and this, based on this research produced by University X. And then you've got we've read, you've got a defense. Then we've read this research. We're simply sharing the research that's been presented and providing you with the options that are in that research. So if people want to throw rocks at you and say, oh my God, that Moyle, who'd have thought it, what a terrible human being, you can defend that because you're absolutely sticking to the facts. It's when people start going off the reservation and suggesting that you can inject bleach into yourself or shine ultraviolet lights down your neck that you run into problems.
Thanks.
Wonder where you got that one from.
Just a little idea I had.